Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. Yes, May Day. We're approaching Mapleton, Minnesota on Minnesota Highway 22, headed south. Local time is 6:24 a.m. Current temperature 46 degrees. Continuing our trip to Wells, Minnesota. Wind out of the northwest. Speed limit was 60, now 45. Kind of goes around, skirts the east edge of Mapleton. Mapleton known for its Mapleton Marine, even though there's not really a lake here in town. But the next town we come to, there's a fairly good sized lake called Minnesota Lake. And Highway 30 just came from the west and is doubled up here with 22 for a little ways. It was coming from Winnebago. Actually, I take that back. It was coming from Amboy. And we'll jet off here to the east shortly, going on to New Richland, Minnesota. Back to 60 mile an hour. Had some rains over the weekend and yesterday evening. Why the road is wet and the fields have got some standing water. But it appears it's a nice day shaping up. Coming up on the left is a large solar array farm. It's the little power kind of substation. Panels aren't catching much of the sun right now, the way they're angled. Coming up here, the next intersection, Minnesota Highway 30. Continue on to the east, going over towards New Richland, Ellendale, and then working across towards Rochester, Minnesota. Control city is Wells, Minnesota, 14 miles, and that's our destination. Minnesota Lake is 6 miles. State's out working early on some surveying. Local time is 6:29 a.m. This section of road was overlaid last summer, so it's fairly smooth and updated, with rumble strips on the outside and down the center lane. Our journey started in Mankato, Minnesota. This road angles a little bit to the southeast. After Wells, it eventually goes straight south and connects up with Interstate 90 between Blue Earth and Albert Lee. Appears to be a little more water as we go south here in the low spots. We get some warmth. These fields should start greening up, as most of the field corn had been planted. And a lot of that should be starting to emerge out of the ground with some heat units from the sun. Yeah, these MnDOT surveyors are all up and down this section. What they're marking out. I do see that they have put some stakes by the road width markers. Minnesota gets pretty concerned about farmers infringing on the, what I would call the ditch, what they call the road width. So they put markers out. They're short, and they say triangular shape on the top, and they say RW, which means road width, which means the state has that property to that mark along the highway. And farmers in the past have tended to encroach that area. You get out in Colorado, eastern Colorado, as an example, there they'll farm right up to the edge of the road, especially with wheat. This is the big town of Minnesota Lake, home to Norris American Homes, where they build custom-made homes. Speed limit drops from 60 to 45. So the lake you can't see, but it's over to the right. It's a shallow lake, but it's a fairly good-sized lake. Good duck hunting lake. Minnesota Lake is home to the Festag celebrations in the summertime. Somehow that kind of ties in with the country of Holland, is kind of somehow, I think, reflected in that. It's being back up to 60. We now have a rail spur that is following us here from Minnesota Lake down to Wells, and it continues on to Alden and in towards Albert Lea, Minnesota. Continuing our trip to Wells, Minnesota. And no, Wells is not the home of Wells Blue Bunny. That would be Lamar's, Iowa. Wells is home to Wells Concrete and Breakbush Foods. They're the two large employers in Wells, besides the school district, which is United South Central. Be sure to post a comment if you have any questions or input about this trip, or if you've traveled this road in the past. Wells is also the home to Ron's Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, and Schroeder Electric, and also Electric Service Company has a Wells location also. Sitting off to the left here on the road, apparently waiting for the clock to hit the right time before he begins his pickup route. Temperatures 46 degrees. Considering that the rail line on the right here is just a spur headed up to Minnesota Lake, it is in very good shape. alfalfa field over here on the left. Which is a hay crop for feeding livestock. Approaching the outskirts of Wells, Minnesota. This road is busy with semis with flatbeds hauling precast walls for buildings out of the Wells concrete plant. Fertilizer plant coming up on the right. Central Farm Service. Back in the day, that would have been considered a fairly good sized one. Today's standards, they built these regional ones that make that one dwarfed. Progress, they say. Another alfalfa field on the right here. Has a Dairy Queen restaurant, year-round open, grocery store, and of course a dollar store. Population is 2,410. Speed limit drops to 45. This road continues on as 109. 22 requires a right turn towards the south. There's also a Casey's and a Subway. Well, that about completes this trip to Wells, Minnesota. Thanks for watching.